In foreign policy today, another significant development in the nuclear standoff with North Korea. Right now, the Pentagon has placed anti-missile defenses around Hawaii. That as a report surfaces that North Korea may be preparing to test fire a long-range missile directed in the direction of Hawaii, and the speculation is it could be a July 4th launch. Victor Cha is professor at Georgetown University. He also holds the Korea chair at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Okay, Victor, here we go again. How credible is this report in the Japanese newspaper? U.S. officials haven't confirmed it.
Right. I don't think U.S. officials have confirmed it, but the North Koreans are clearly preparing to do more things, and one of them could be a longer-range missile test. They've tested other missiles in the past, in 1998, in 2006, and then last April. So the news that they may be preparing for another missile launch should not be surprising to anybody.
But no one expects that they could launch a missile that would actually reach Hawaii, right?
No, I mean, from there to Hawaii, that's 4,500 miles. The North Koreans have now demonstrated capability to launch a missile for that range. But they're clearly trying to build. With every missile test they do, they are learning something new. And the fact that the Defense Secretary was out yesterday saying that the U.S. is standing up missile defenses, I think shows that the United States takes this very seriously.
What do you make of the UN sanctions, unanimous sanctions passed by the Security Council last week? They say they're quite tough. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think they're very strong. They're a very strong set of sanctions, arms embargo, financial sanctions, as well as the creation of an international inspection regime to prevent the proliferation of North Korean weapons or fissile material. So I think it's a very strong resolution. It's the third UN Security Council resolution on North Korea since the Korean War. Yeah. And the Russians and the Chinese are on board right now.
That's what I say. You would expect Russia and China to enforce these sanctions?
I certainly hope so. I mean, my concern is that somewhere down the road, if the North Koreans come back to the talks, the Chinese and the Russians may want to take their foot off the pedal and say, well, we don't need to do these sanctions anymore. But, I mean, they're still in possession of nuclear weapons. So as long as they have nuclear weapons, there's a proliferation threat. And that's why you need to keep the inspection regime and the sanctions on them.
We don't have a ton of time, but I'll ask you a sort of the unanswerable question. What does North Korea really want?
It's a good question. I mean, I think they want their security, but they want a type of security that the United States can't give them, which is some residual nuclear capacity and normal relations with the United States, which the U.S. cannot do because its allies, its security commitments to its allies are far too important to allow for a nuclear North Korea.
Do you think they also want to use this threat of a nuclear weapon to get things for themselves? Aid, basically trade it away?
Sure. I think they're willing to trade part of it away, and that's what the six-party talks were about, some assistance. But I don't think they want to give up all of them, which is why it's very difficult in the negotiations to get them to verify full denuclearization. And
the real issue with them, I mean, aside from the obvious threat of actually launching a missile, they may not do that knowing, of course, with the return address, but that they might proliferate. I mean, that seems like an even graver concern.
I mean, that's the gravest concern to the United States, the security of the United States. Is a proliferation threat. Clearly, their missiles and nuclear weapons are a threat to countries in the region, including South Korea and Japan. But for the United States, this is why the Security Council resolution is so important, because it creates this inspection regime to try to prevent them from proliferating.
Yeah, and the U.S. tracking a ship right now in the Pacific, right? Yeah, thanks, Victor Cha from Georgetown. Appreciate it.